So you want to know about the things they don't tell you about Clarksville, Tennessee? Well, stay tuned. I've got it coming right up. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Carla here with Benchmark Realty, your local realtor in Clarksville, Tennessee. And I thought it was time to make a video about things that not everyone necessarily tells you when they move to Clarksville or to Tennessee in general. So some of the things I am going to mention today, I have mentioned on previous videos on my channel, but I think it's worth mentioning some of these again, just to reiterate, or maybe it's new to my channel and haven't heard these things before, and it'll be news to you. I'm a transplant here with PCS with the military at the end of 2015. I feel like I can speak to this perspective of being new to Clarksville and new to Tennessee, especially now that I'm a realtor and I help people relocate all the time into Tennessee, into Clarksville from all over the world, and of course some different duty stations in the United States. First things first, let's get into talking about the housing. Now, many people do move to Tennessee or buy houses in Clarksville because they are trying to get a lower cost of living and affordability in housing. If you're moving to a less expensive area of the country, then moving to Clarksville or Tennessee, you might not find it that much less expensive. But certainly if you're moving to a more expensive state, then coming here will seem much more affordable. But that being said, we still are hovering around $300,000 to $325,000 or so for a standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath home here in Montgomery County, Tennessee, where Clarksville sits. And be sure to watch this video to the end, where I share with you most unique things about living in Clarksville. Anything right now, like I've said in previous videos, if you're looking around the 300 price point or below, expect it to be very competitive. Expect there to be multiple offers on homes that you're competing with. Expect them to go very quickly, and there to be a lot of competition, simply because even with the higher interest rates we have right now, the inventory is so low that, of course, supply and demand is coming into play. Even with the higher interest rates right now, there's still a very large demand when we only have around 800, a little less than 800 homes in the entire county available right now, which is extremely low. So be prepared for there to be competition. Be prepared to be able to pay your own closing costs, and don't come to moving to Tennessee, especially if you're in the 300 below price point, looking to get a deal, because it's probably not going to happen. Rent for a standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath home is hovering around $1,600 a month. Rent prices still continue to climb, again, due to the supply and demand, that being a high demand and low inventory. Yes, be prepared to pay a good amount for rent as well. Now, while we are talking about homes, something that you should expect when you move to Tennessee is that a lot of our homes here are built on crawl space foundations. So you might be familiar with cement slab foundations, but our homes have a mixture depending on the builder who builds it, the topography of the land, and other factors. It's usually, what I understand, more economical sometimes to build crawl spaces, and you have to keep it nice and dry and protected, because mold and humidity can grow in there, and other things can get inside there too. And a lot of people also will ask me about basements. I get a lot of calls about basements. They're not as prevalent as you would think. The majority of basement homes are in the older neighborhoods. So we will have bonus rooms here. It's very common for that extra space, or a flex room will have bonus rooms in lieu of a basement. And then speaking of topography, I mentioned topography a second ago. If you're coming from a flatter state and you're new to Tennessee or this region of the United States, don't expect for your lot or your backyard to be completely flat and usable. Many of our lots and neighborhoods here will be on different types of hills, and they won't be nice and flat and level and usable necessarily. So if you say you're looking at a home that's on half an acre or an acre or a little bit of land, or any land, don't necessarily expect to be able to use all that land. It may not be usable. A portion of your lot or yard may not necessarily be usable because it's too sloped. Also, a lot of the fireplaces here are gas propane fireplaces. We do have natural wood burning fireplaces, but again, you're going to typically find those in the older homes in Clarksville. And the newer homes and newer subdivisions, most of them are going to have gas or propane fireplaces where you're going to get a propane tank. You're going to hook it up outside on the back of your house or on the side of your house, and how they have the gas line run, you're going to connect it to that propane tank, and that's how you're going to get your fireplace to work. Or if you have a gas range, many people will use that propane tank to use their gas range. We do have natural gas, but it's not super prominent. Again, their natural gas are usually in the older neighborhoods. You're going to see a lot of gutter extensions. I said this before. You're going to be black piping attached to your gutters. They're just gutter extenders. And it's to keep the rainwater, because we do get a lot of rain here, to keep your rainwater away from your house, away from your foundation and crawl space that I was talking about earlier, because you want to keep it nice and dry and have a healthy foundation or crawl space. And some people just don't know what those are. Now, one of the things I didn't expect when I moved to Tennessee was how beautiful the state is. Tennessee is absolutely a gorgeous state. And a lot of people don't know that or don't realize it until they move to Tennessee. I was talking about topography earlier. There's just so many different things to explore all over the state. You have flatter areas, more mountainous areas. You have areas with beautiful campgrounds, lakes, fishing, waterfalls, hiking, greenways, cave systems here. It's just an absolutely gorgeous state, hills and this. Now, if you're scared of heights, you might have a few moments if you're scared of heights. So just be prepared if you're going to a more mountainous area like Gatlinburg or the Pigeon Forge or Chattanooga, or it's more hilly and more mountainous than Middle Tennessee where we are here in Clarksville. Be prepared to get pretty high in those mountains. And so if you're scared of heights, just be prepared. And one of the reasons we do have such a beautiful state is because we get a lot of rain. We do have extreme weather. So if you are not from an area that you can get extreme weather, be prepared to have, strong storms, tornadoes here, flooding. I personally not experienced tornadoes since I've lived here, but had storms so bad that it might as well have been a tornado. Our electricity went out for 2 days, and that was earlier this year in March of 2023. We had flooding a year ago, not in Clarksville, but the surrounding areas, and Nashville got hit with a tornado a couple years back as well. So it does happen. Some people do have generators on hand, especially if they're in an area that have the utility lines that are above ground. If you get extreme weather, sometimes it knocks out the electricity for hours, or like I said, ours went out for a couple of days in the last really, really bad storm. So yeah, I just want to mention the weather. I mention a lot of my videos because a lot of people, they have not experienced this kind of weather. I grew up in Tornado Alley personally in Texas, so I have seen a good amount of storms. And pro tip, I will say my personal favorite months as far as weather goes are May and June. However, the humidity is, starting to creep up. And then if you want a little bit of cooler weather, I would stick with September and October when fall's starting, and it's a really beautiful time of year too. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is how close we are in proximity to other things that you can do in a day's drive. I mean, you have, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, we have Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, about 3 hours east. You have Chattanooga, about 3 hours south, where Ruby Falls is, which is a massive cave system. You have Mammoth Cave, about 3 hours north. You have, if you want to go to the beach, you can get in the car at breakfast and be in Destin, Pensacola Beach, or Panama City Beach, Florida, and by dinner, by 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And yeah, it's just a lot of people don't realize where we sit. We are really close to a lot of fun and cool things, day trips. And of course, we're only about 45 minutes to an hour to Nashville, of course, and you can make a day trip there. There's the zoo there, Music City, of course. I mean, it's a really fun spot if you want to find dining, all the things, shopping. It's all right there in Nashville, not too far away. And something you may not know about Clarksville is that we are a good-sized town. So if you're coming here expecting to be a small podunk town, that is not us. We are growing rapidly all the time. and new things and new restaurants are opening up constantly. If you're looking for a slower, smaller town, slower pace of life, there are some options out in county, still Montgomery County or the surrounding areas. Clarksville is definitely a growing, lively town. It's not comparable to Nashville or a major metropolitan area, but you still have plenty to do here, in my opinion. You have lots of green spaces, parks, trails, the Clarksville Greenway, you have Dunbar Cave, you have our downtown area with tons of shops and restaurants and free concerts all the time, family-friendly stuff going on all the time. You have festivals and celebrations that'll go on throughout the year. You have the Customs House Museum in downtown Clarksville too, if you want to learn about history. You have Fort Defiance. Some of my favorite restaurants to check out if you're coming to town are Black Horse downtown. You have Benelli's Deli as well. It's great. They got great cannolis. You have Camacho's Pizza. You have Michael's Pizza. It's my favorite pizza. And also Thirsty Goat has wonderful pizza and craft beer. Some of my favorite Mexican places are La Plaza, Dos Margaritas, Don Jarros, just to name a few. There's so much more, but this video would go on for way too long. And in case you don't know, Clarksville, Tennessee, we are a military town. So we service Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It sits here in both states of Kentucky and Tennessee. And the reason it's called Fort Campbell, Kentucky is because the post office on base sits on the Kentucky side. However, Fort Campbell itself hovers on both states, and Tennessee and Kentucky. So a lot of people that live off base will be stationed and work at Fort Campbell. So we have a lot of military family all over. Clarksville are military affiliated. So the closer you are buying a house to post, then the more military service members and their families will be around. You'll see them all the time walking out and about all over the place. If you're buying a house near if you're buying a house near Fort Campbell, and versus if you buy a house a little bit farther out, about, say East Clarksville, closer to Sango, which is a district of Clarksville, there's going to be less military families, more civilian demographic, because you have a lot of people being closer to Nashville and East Clarksville that will be commuting back and forth to their jobs. And that brings me to my next point. Although Clarksville is a very diverse city for a town of its size, I would say, we are still in Tennessee. And as far as politics go, the last two presidential elections, Tennessee voted over 60% Republican. So we are a heavy Republican red state. So if you are coming from a not so red state, be prepared. And that might be a shock to some of your systems. And people here are very passionate. Some of the people here are very passionate, especially the more further out you get out of the city. They're very passionate about their values and their politics. So you will see people, driving around with their American flags and their, flags for the people who they're voting for. Be prepared for that when you get here. And a little weird quirk about living in Montgomery County. I don't know if they do this in other counties or other locations in Tennessee or other parts of the United States, but we have a random landfill bill that you'll get when you move into your house. It's going to be like a $15 bill to pay for our landfills. It's separate from your trash. It's not included in anything else like your sewer or trash bill. It's completely separate, completely random. I see people talking about it on the forums in Clarksville all the time, confused. They think it's junk mail or spam. No, it's actually legitimate landfill bill. And like I said, it's like $15 a quarter, $60 a year. It's not much, but you will get that. Is a little bit unique. I've never seen that before where I've lived other places. But yeah, definitely expect to get that landfill bill when you move to Clarksville. And speaking of taxes, that brings me to my next point of taxes. We are a tax-friendly state. It's why many people move to Tennessee to begin with, for the lower cost of living, and particularly when it comes to taxes. We don't have a state income tax. We have lower property taxes than many other states by far. You don't have your pensions and Social Security aren't taxed. And let's see, if you're military affiliated and you're disabled to vet, if you're at a certain percentage, you can get your property taxes on your primary residence reduced. So there are a lot of tax advantages. Although I will say our sales tax is at 9.5%. So there's that. But hey, They got to get their revenue somehow. And that brings me to a next point of you need to be aware if you're moving to Tennessee, we are a constitutional carry, open carry state as far as gun laws go. Whatever your stance is, regardless, be prepared to see guns. And when you're viewing houses, if you're showing houses, you'll see lots of gun safes here. That is commonplace. You're going to be out and about and see people with, guns on their hip. And something that you may not know about here is also we have a public state university called Austin Peay University. So it's very popular with students that want to get their bachelor's degree or their continuing education, or a lot of students from high school can start there and get their college hours there at Austin Peay University. We also have community college opportunities in Clarksville, and many colleges post on Fort Campbell if you're military affiliated. So just something to keep in mind there. And also the state of Tennessee does offer a lot of scholarship opportunities, like the Hope Scholarship to get reduced tuition for Tennessee residents when you're going to school. So definitely look into those options. And I have said it before, I will say it again. And here in Clarksville, we have crazy ass drivers, guys. So be prepared for that when you move here. Traffic starts getting stupid around 3:30-ish, 4 o'clock. And with so many people driving and moving here, it is what it is. Traffic gets really bad sometimes, and your car insurance might even go up. I've heard stories of people moving here and their auto insurance going up. That's just a combination of the increase in population, bad drivers, and different people moving from different areas of the country, different driving styles, a younger demographic because of the military. All those variables probably play a part, but suffice to say, when you get here, be prepared to encounter crazy drivers. Now, something I want to talk about your vehicles that you may not know is that in Tennessee, I don't know if it's statewide or at least in Montgomery County, we don't have an emissions test. Also, just so you know, your registration tag goes on your license plate. And I'm used to being from a state where my registration sticker went on your windshield, but here it goes on your license plate. If you don't have your registration sticker that shows like when your tags expire, it's not on your license plate like it's supposed to be, they will pull you over and they can ticket you for that. Ask me how I know. If you're not used to that, be prepared. Make sure you have your registration sticker on your license plate. There's no personal property taxes on your vehicle here. I know in certain states they make you pay taxes on your vehicle for like personal property tax. That's not a thing here. So you don't have to worry about that. And on a lighter note, I hope that you like Waffle House and Dollar Generals, because when you move to Clarksville or Tennessee, or pretty much in the South in general, you will have Waffle House restaurants and Dollar Generals everywhere you look. So, fun fact, hope you like waffles. And I'm going to wrap this video up before it gets way too long, which it probably already is. My favorite, I told you I would save some of the most unique things about living in Clarksville. They are the fact that we have a wonderful Amish community here in Clarksville, and they have their own farms that you can buy fresh fruit, produce, flowers from. You'll see the Amish set up at the farmers market all the time. And we also have tobacco barns here that you'll see. If you're not from this area, they will be smoking. They will look like they're on fire, especially during fall time. They are not. They'll call the fire department unless you actually see flames, of course. It's the tobacco curing in the barns. Clarksville has a huge history with tobacco, so the tobacco barns still are around, and you'll see them smoking, especially during fall. It's like the most awesome smell, in my opinion. And then also Southern hospitality. It is a thing here. Manners. People are going to be calling you sir, ma'am, holding the door open for you. All those type of things. They're going to be waving to you even though you don't know them. And yeah, they call you sir or ma'am. Trust me, they're not being rude or being condescending. On the contrary, they are being very respectful to you if they're calling you sir or ma'am. Just go with it. Don't make it weird. And here in Clarksville, you will see people pulling over on both sides of the road when there's a funeral procession going through town. And I thought this is something they did everywhere, but apparently it's not. So if you move here, be prepared to move over to the side of the road until the full funeral procession is completed and over with. And people do that out of respect to, the person that has passed away and their families. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's one of my favorite things about living in Tennessee. We are what am I saying? I don't even know. And make sure and watch this video to the end where I share with you. That song that came in. This video to the end where I share with you some of my And while I'm on the house prices, of course, I need the